Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope everybody has had a fantastic week and I hope you're all looking forward to an amazing weekend. Students, in this class we are looking at IELTS writing task 2. This is going to be about university and gender. These materials, these lessons are coming from our websites. For academic IELTS, check out aehelp.com. For the general IELTS, check out gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that house our materials, our videos, practice exams, and this question is coming from our website as well. On the website, the academic IELTS website looks like this when you're on the home page. And when you create a premium course by clicking on the big red Join Now button, it's just above my head there. Again, it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. We're an IDP affiliate, British Council partner, IELTS Test Registration Center. In your My Student account, you have lots and lots of tools, computer-based practice exams, full interactive course, and you also have the task 1, task 2 writing help. Now free and paid users can use the task 1, task 2 services. They are separate. It makes sense. Some people want to use them often, some people don't, so we price those separately. And then when you click on that task 2, you have questions in here like this one. And this question is here that we're looking at today. It says, universities should take the same number of men and women in each major. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? And then you can write your response here. Now, today we're going to cover this question in this live class. Students who are also premium users of the website get 2 exclusive live Zoom classes each week. I will be sending out those Zoom links later today, so you should see them in your inbox, in your email, latest by tomorrow. So premium users of the website, make sure that you have those. If you don't, let me know so I can send them to you manually from my end. If you want to see how those classes go, then check out this playlist. It's right here. Welcome all students. Hi Domenico, Asha, Anahita. Anahita is actually the one who requested that I cover this question from the website today. And welcome Carolina, our chat moderator. It's lovely to have all of you here with me today. On the website, everybody, you can use the code Technique9 to get an extra 10% discount. The apps which link to the websites are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. You get the apps included with the premium version of the course. The Instagram profiles are IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help. And of course, you can get access through Shopify right here from YouTube to make life a little bit easier. If you want to edit videos and you want to join our great team of editors, you can send me your CV to my email as well. So potentially even a job there for some of you. Any questions, or if you want to send your resume, your CV for video editing, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Those are the emails you can use. All right, so students, right now it's task 2 writing with that question I introduced moments ago. Then after this class, in about 2 hours, we'll have listening part 1 and 2 for our subscribers. That listening exam and audio will also be coming from the website. So again, if you like these classes, you watch them regularly, it's probably a good idea to use the premium version. It doesn't cost a lot, and again, it's just a one-time payment. We have more classes tomorrow as well. We'll have speaking part 2, speaking part 3. We use the website to talk to students and practice the speaking section. And then for the premium students, we will have a premium exclusive Zoom class on Sunday. All right, use present perfect regularly in your speech and in your writing, everybody. To understand the reasons for using present perfect, check out this video when you have some time. Hopefully we'll be using some present perfect in this essay today. So again, let's take a look at this question. IELTS Task 2 Writing. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Definitely spend 40 minutes on Task 2. You should spend about 5 minutes planning, about 32 minutes writing, and then 3 minutes reviewing and fixing mistakes. Okay, most people will catch 5 to 10 mistakes in their writing when they review it for spelling and grammar and information, and that will help to increase your score by about half to a full band. Okay, so make sure to always leave a little bit of time. So this is what I recommend, students. Start 5 minutes, plan. Okay, then after your 5 minutes of planning, spend about, this is a rough estimate, so it's going to, of course, you don't have to be like 5 minutes is up, I have to start writing, but it's roughly, right? 32 minutes writing. Okay, and then you should spend about 3 minutes reviewing. Okay, so that should be kind of your time allocation, okay, for task 2. That's how you should allocate or assign your time. Does that make sense? Okay, so 5 minutes planning will make you or help you write faster. Okay, so planning helps you to write a faster and better essay. Okay, and reviewing helps you save 0.5 to 1 band for easy to identify spelling, grammar, punctuation, and content mistakes. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? Hopefully. Okay, so that's how you should think about your time. It is a big mistake to just read the question and start writing a template essay. Okay. Don't do that. Those will get low scores. All right. Keep that in mind, everybody. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's take a look at the question again one more time. When you're practicing at home, definitely read the question 2, 3, 4 times before you start writing, just to get a really clear idea and to get some really good thoughts. I can see Fuang and Domenico and Ha are saying yes, and Carolina are saying yes. Thumbs up. Got you. All right. And so again, here is the question. Universities should take the same number of men and women in each major. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Okay, step 1 here is paraphrase the question so that you have clear understanding and good vocabulary. Okay, so I'm going to do just that. I'm going to take this question and I'm going to copy it here, and then underneath it I'm going to paraphrase. And now this is what I would do in the actual exam as well. In the exam I wouldn't copy it, but I would just paraphrase it. Okay, and it doesn't just get thrown out and it doesn't turn into your introduction necessarily, but it could become part of your essay at some point for sure. So post secondary, I think university is good to keep here, but post-secondary institutions. And again, members, this question today was requested by Anahita to cover, and it's a great question. It's a good one to cover. Remember that as YouTube members, that's one of your perks, is you can request topics for these classes, everybody. So post-secondary institutions ought to admit equal numbers of males and females into each subject. To what level do you support this opinion? Provide support for your response, and add any related cases from your own experiences. Okay, so that's my paraphrase. After I paraphrase, I would read the original and my paraphrase. So universities should take the same number of men and women in each major. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Post-secondary institutions ought to admit equal numbers of males and females into each subject. And to what level do you support this opinion? Provide support for your response and add any relevant cases for from your experiences. Okay. All right. Instead of support, maybe I'll say evidence instead of repeating myself. Anna has this paraphrase for us. Good job, Anna. Okay, so this is a writing class, everybody. Write lots. Put your answers and your writing into the chat. I will take a look at it just like I'm looking at Anna's right now. Anna says, educational institutions have to take the same number of male and female students in each specialization. How much do you agree or disagree with this topic? Yeah, and you have to be a little bit careful, Anna, because educational institutions include a lot of schools. So even post-secondary is more than just university. It includes vocational schools, colleges, trade schools. But educational institutions is even broader, right? It includes primary school, government schools. So I would at least put in something like higher level educational institutions have to take the same number of male and female students in each specialization. Okay, and then it's a little bit more of an emphasis there. So I would add that piece for sure, just to make my brain really focus on that concept of higher level education in this context. Okay. All right. Ha has this answer for us. Ha says, a tertiary education. That's a nice paraphrase, Ha. So I like it. Okay, Ha says, tertiary education is suggested to maintain an equilibrium between two genders in each department, in every department. Okay. Equilibrium, yeah, okay, it's a bit awkward, but I guess it's not bad. I wouldn't really take scores from that, but I'd just be like, okay, that's an interesting way to express that. Is suggested to maintain an equilibrium between two genders, between means two, among means more than two. To what extent do you approve of this viewpoint? That's good. Include some root causes to illustrate your perspective with your own experience. Okay, that's good. I like it. All right. Anahita, let's take a quick look. Anahita is the one who requested this topic. Anahita says, the admission figure of institutions for higher education ought to be equal for males and females in each field. The admission, it's a bit awkward. We're going to have to fix this, Anahita. I would write it like this, Anahita, if it were like this to make it correct. The proportion of male and female admissions for tertiary institutions ought to be equal in each field. Now it reads well. Ought to be equal in each field. Yeah. Now it's good. To what degree do you concur with this notion? Provide rationale and instances from your own life. Okay, sure. So it reads correctly now. It reads well. You do have to focus on natural English. Your goal in your writing, students, isn't just to paraphrase, it's also to make the reading easy for your readers. So this is an important tip, and it's kind of following your paraphrase here, Anahita. To paraphrase well, okay, you must focus not just on making sense, but also on making it easy for your reader to comprehend your writing. So don't just paraphrase, but paraphrase in a way that's easy for your reader to understand what you're stating. In fact, good paraphrasing, and this is actually an important and interesting point, so good paraphrasing in language, so in spoken or written language, actually makes it simpler or easier than the original. Okay, so I'll even write that there for you to think about. In fact, great paraphrasing improves the ease of coherence for the audience. So you should always be thinking, like, if I'm paraphrasing this, can I paraphrase in a way that makes it even easier for my reader to understand what we're going to write about? So that's where, you know, a lot of times using fancy words or fancy grammar is not necessarily a good thing. Okay. All right. So students, once we have the paraphrase, we identify the topic. What is the topic of this essay? And then, of course, think about the controlling idea. So what controls the topic? What in relation to the topic do we want to know? Okay. So what is the topic here? And what are we discussing? Asha, it's nice to see your response. Asha says, in every stream, universities should accept an equal number of male and female students. Not ratio, because you have equal number. So just, Asha, just students. To what degree do you concur or disagree? I really like, Asha, the simplicity of your paraphrase, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. So in every stream, universities should accept an equal number of male and female students. Asha, there's no space before a comma. That is a mistake. Okay, be very careful with that. The space is only after the comma. There's no space before the comma. Okay. All right. Ha says it's gender equality at universities. Anahita says it's gender equilibrium in each major of university admissions. Asha, I see that you got that suggestion that I just gave you. I don't see the topic yet. Asha says it's society and education systems. Definitely not, Asha. That's way too general. Okay, that is not the topic. Lois says fairness. No. Nobody has the topic so far. Here, I don't see it anywhere so far. Flong says it's balancing the number of genders in university. No, and it's kind of tricky here. What are we talking about here? So that's what you have to ask yourself. And until you have the topic, you really have to be careful and just think, okay? So always look at the original question to try to figure out the topic, not your paraphrase, okay? Because if there are mistakes with your paraphrasing, you won't be able to figure it out. So universities should take the same number of men and women in each major. What is that talking about? What process is this relating to? Okay, so think about this. What process is this relating to? Okay. So what process is discussed here? Universities should take the same number of men and women in each major. Carolina says admissions equality process in universities. No. So we are simply talking about university admission standards. Okay. You're almost there. So ha is almost there. You're just mixing the controlling idea with the topic. Okay. Lois says that anyone can do anything. Nope. We're talking about the university admission standards. What should be the standards for university admission is another way to say it in a question format. Okay, does everybody see that now? Does everybody see that we're talking about the university admission process? And the controlling idea is should having equal genders be a standard for this process? Okay. Anahita says it's extremely tricky. Yes, but you have to identify it. If you don't identify the actual topic, it becomes nearly impossible to write a good essay. And even if you have really good English, you're not going to get a very good score because you haven't identified what you're actually writing about. Okay. It seems tricky, but it's not so bad if you kind of keep an open mind. Like, what are we discussing here? The discussion here is not about males and females. Always focus on, so one way, okay, Anahita says it's tricky. How can I figure this out if I get a question like this, right? So one way to do that, and this is a really good tip, okay? So tip for figuring out the topic. Think of the basic English sentence, okay? The basic English sentence, right, is subject plus verb plus object. Okay? The topic is related to the subject, not the object. Okay? The object usually relates to the controlling idea. Okay, so here it's easy for us humans to get stuck on the fact that we're talking about same number of men and women, because we're really adamant about gender equality. Each one of us considers ourselves to be a man or woman, or in some cases gender neutral, and we focus on that aspect that, oh, that's what we must be talking about here. But you should realize when you think about this subject verb object that, oh, wait a second, the subject here is universities, right? Everybody sees that the subject is universities. It's not men and women, right? So the subject here is universities, so the topic has to be something to do with the university itself, right? And then it says should take. Now, a couple of you paraphrased that. I think, Anahita, it was actually you who used the word admissions right here, right? So that word should have kind of signaled, it should have been like a little light bulb, like, oh, wait a second, it's university admissions here that we're talking about. Admissions for tertiary institutions, right? Does everybody get how looking at the sentence with the concept of subject, the subject of your sentence is basically synonymous with the topic of your sentence or the topic of your idea. So the subject of what you're saying, right? The topic of what you're saying. Universities should take. University admissions, right? Does that make sense? So looking at it that way, Anahita, maybe it's not as tricky. Okay. All right. I've got some thumbs up there, so that's good. So now that we know that the topic is university admissions or university admission standards, if I want to be very precise, is the topic, and then the controlling idea is should have equal numbers of men and women in each major. So should have equal genders, okay, or having equal genders be a standard for this process, having equal genders in each major, in every major, right? Not just in university as a whole, because I bet if we looked at universities as a whole, the university as a whole probably has roughly a fairly good balance of males and females these days in most places. Okay. All right, Carolina, thank you. Okay, so now that we have this, you have to make your decision, obviously, right? So you either completely agree, completely disagree, or somewhat agree, somewhat disagree. Those are basically your choices, right? So choices are either totally agree, completely disagree, or somewhat agree. Okay, now you should never just say somewhat agree because my teacher in my IELTS class said I should say somewhat agree and then write one paragraph about why I agree and one paragraph why I disagree. That doesn't make sense. Okay, some questions, especially on the IELTS, it makes sense to write completely or totally agree. For other questions, it makes sense to completely disagree. And for some questions, it's somewhat agree. If you ask me, like, well, Adrian, what's the percentage, right? Like, totally agree, completely disagree. So I would say if I look at all of the IELTS questions that I've discussed in my last close to 20 years of IELTS teaching, I would say totally agree is like 45% of the time. Completely disagree is another 45% of the time. And the somewhat agree is maybe only about 10% of the time. And what's strange or ironic is that a lot of IELTS candidates, like half of them at least, will go with the somewhat agree. And in most situations, so 9 of 10 task 2 writing questions on the IELTS, it doesn't make sense to write somewhat agree. Okay, so it's bad that many candidates write somewhat agree when this is only true for about 10% of the questions. Okay, in the IELTS, they want you to think for yourself. They don't want to see templated essays. Okay. All right, so the topic is university admissions. University admissions, what is it? Okay, so how would you define it? Okay, give me the definition of it. How do you define university admissions? When you're thinking about the topic, you should always define it before you start writing. And this is your planning, students. This is what you do in 5 minutes. This should happen quickly. Okay. Lois, 45%, 45%, 10% is 100%, right? 45, 45, 10 of the total questions. Okay, so James says university admissions is the conditions to enter university. Yep, that's okay. So it's not usually called, not the conditions, James. Conditions is okay, but it's the requirements. Okay, so includes requirements for university entrance. Yes, sure. Fuang says a student has to overcome exams, certifications, visa, right? So there's also that whole process of getting the student visas for many international students who attend universities in other countries. Sure. So what is that? It's when you have dirty water and you want to make clean water, you have to pass the water through what? Okay. I'm not saying students are dirty. I'm just getting you to think about the vocabulary. So when you have dirty water, you want to make clean water, then you have to pass it through a filter. That's right, Kazi. Very good, Fuang, very good. You have to pass it through a filter. It's the filtering process, right? So it's the filtering process of universities to accept students. Why? So why do universities have this filtering process? What's the logic? And here, this is an interesting question because I know a lot of students are often upset of why didn't this university let me in, or that's not fair. So why do universities have admissions? So what's the reason? Why don't they let everybody into university? That has been an argument, by the way, in some societies, that everybody should be allowed to go to university. It doesn't matter. Okay, so Ghazi says because they have a certain number of seats. Yes, and to be more precise, Ghazi, we could even say because resources are limited. Yes, that's definitely one answer. Okay, yep. Capacity, Carolina, for sure. Resources are limited, like limited seats. Yep. Okay, sure. And educational integrity. Excellence. Yep. What else? So universities are not just a place for students, right? I think a lot of people fall into this belief that a university's main goal is to educate students, but universities have actually another main goal, and some people might argue that it's actually a bigger goal than educating students for jobs. So the goal is to educate students, so graduate students to work in professions. And what's another big goal of universities? And I think people really forget about this, but it's very important to remember this, because this is actually what universities themselves are more concerned about. Some of you might find this insulting, but universities often do not care as much as students think about them graduating and getting a job in life. Universities do that. It's kind of like they have to. That's part of their job. But they actually are more passionate about this part of their institution. So Lewis, it's not, so preparing a labor force is not actually the passion of university. I would argue it's not actually the true passion. Universities will say, oh, Adrian, that's not true. We really enjoy preparing students for work. And I would say, yeah, you do, but you enjoy this more. And I think the universities, if they were honest, they would be like, yeah, no, we'll agree. We enjoy that more than preparing students for work. What is it? Okay, what is the greater passion of universities than preparing students for work? And I know it's kind of a letdown. You're kind of like, oh, really? But I thought university was all about me and getting me to be a doctor, or to be a, this and that, and I thought that's what they really love to do. And it's kind of like, yeah, they like doing that, but it's not what they love to do. Carolina says make money. No. Money is just a tool. Oh, it saddens me, Carolina. We have that video on YouTube too, and people are like, money does buy happiness. And I'm like, no, it really doesn't. It's very limited, very limited. It's not prestige. It's not reputation, Lois. It's not. They like those are all great, and they make it makes them happy, but it's not their true passion. Okay, and science. Okay, universities don't actually want their best students to ever leave. Universities want their best students to stay, become professors and scientists and researchers for the university, so that they can discover amazing and wonderful knowledge and information. Okay, that's what the university's main goal is. The university's main goal is to generate new knowledge. Okay, that is the crucible of a university. All right. Okay. So yeah, you want to be a student at university? Absolutely. And they want you to like university and to get a good job. Their biggest passion and their biggest desire is for you to become a top-notch scientist and create new knowledge. Okay. So that's what they really care about, and that will help them to be the best university or to gain prestige. Cambridge will say Isaac Newton discovered the theory of relativity while at Cambridge, right? So they want to breed the biggest brains scientists. Anyway, it's an interesting thought to keep in mind for this task 2 question as well. Okay. So what is university admission? It's a filtering process. Why do universities have admissions? Because they have limited resources and they want to train the leading minds of the world. Okay, and how do they do it? How do they do this? Okay, how does a university filter? So how does a university decide whether or not a person should go into a major? And this is going to be important because this will relate to your controlling idea. So how do they do this currently? Is it by gender? Oh, 50% men, 50% women. Is it by the color of the person's hair? Oh, we'll put 10 blonde people in that major. We'll put 50 brunettes into that major, and we'll put 30 people with dark hair. Okay. So how do they decide? Okay, so Fong says by testing, by IELTS. IELTS is a part of this, right? So exams like IELTS, right, is also, and it's academic IELTS for a reason. It's not just testing your English, it's testing your thinking, like this task too. By the way, students, like Ha says, wow, you have great critical thinking. You can develop your critical thinking, everybody, and your analytic thinking. And one way to do that when you're on our website in the full online academic course, go through these key strategies here, please. I know a lot of you have premium access to the course. So go through the key strategies. The key strategies are there to help develop your critical thinking. Okay, it's the whole foundation of the course, is to help develop your critical thinking in English, starting even with just the way it explains mind mapping, and then it goes on to critical thinking, paraphrasing, and so on. And then in the workbook, I'll show you where you can download that. Okay, so the workbook, which you can download here, okay, in the PDF section, the entire workbook is designed to develop your critical thinking further, okay, because the IELTS is testing you for that as well. So again, for those of you that don't have access to the premium package, click the big red button there to get access. Okay, so use the course, just go through those key strategies. So I'm telling you right now specifically what to do. Go through those key strategies and then use the workbook, and it will help you develop the thinking so that you can identify these pieces faster. Okay, so how do they do this? They do exams. Okay, all right, Ghazi, have an awesome awesome time with the children at school. It's lovely to hear that you have such an event going on over there. It's great. We have it here too on the West Coast, so enjoy that, Ghazi. That's great. Okay, so they have exams now. Here, visualize too. Okay, so what factors decide who goes into what major? Okay, so think what factors decide who goes into what major? Sure, the exam scores, like IELTS, for example, or your provincial exams. What else? Okay, so think about yourself. Visualize. Okay. Visualizing is a very important part of this. That's why it's part of the course as well. Visualize yourself. What will decide your major? Very good. So Ha says, my personal interest. Of course. They don't say, well, Ha, I'm going to take one look at you. Okay, you've got dark hair. You're 165 centimeters tall. We're going to put you into computer engineering because that's where people with dark hair and hundreds, you're like, what? But I wanted to be a doctor. So that's not how it works, right? First it works like, I want to be a doctor. And then the university goes, okay, great. So you need to go into biology, first of all, among other subjects, and then into the medical department. Let's see your scores, your exam scores, and can you speak English, right? So what will decide your major? Your choice and your grades, right? Lois says ability. Absolutely. So your choice and your grades. Okay. Is that a good system? Do you think it is a good system to allow students into certain majors based on their choices and grades? Is this a good system? Is this a good and effective system for the goal of university to have an excellent workforce and scientists. Okay, that's the full question here. So, is this a good and effective system based on choice and grades or ability, right? For the goal of university to have an excellent workforce and scientists. Is it good? Does it work? Yeah, I think so. Anahita says definitely. Fuang says yes. And Anna says yes, because it motivates students to study better and with the right knowledge. Right. So do we need to adjust this? Should we then, is it a good idea then to have this affected by forcing the choice based on gender? So is it good to have the addition of equal genders as a constraint? In addition to this? And your answer probably, it's a rhetorical question here, everybody. I know what you're thinking. You're like, no, well, obviously that doesn't really make much sense, so no. Right? You wouldn't, right? You would not kick out a girl or a boy with good grades and put somebody else in because simply their gender, right? So you would say, no, that's not fair. If this year you have 10 more women who did better in their exams, then they should have the admission to medical school. But if there were 10 more men that did better, then they should have admission. They shouldn't be restricted because they're not the right gender, right? That wouldn't make sense. Okay, so we can now create our thesis. The thesis is the argument of your essay. It's like point 1, point 2. This is what the essay will be about. Okay, so thesis. Write your thesis sentence, everybody. The thesis is the last sentence of the introductory paragraph, and it details basically what it's about. Okay, so this will be my thesis. Write your thesis. That would be my thesis statement. Okay, here is Anna's thesis statement. And everybody, again, in essay writing, the thesis is extremely important. If you have a good thesis, you will have a good essay. If you have a bad thesis, you will have a bad essay. Okay, if you don't know what this means, thesis, then you have to stop for a moment and really start researching on how to write a correct essay in English. Okay, you can't just do task 2. Task 2 is a persuasive essay. That persuasive essay has important pieces, and this is according to English literature. If an IELTS candidate does not understand what it means essay, what it means persuasive essay, what it means introductory paragraph, what it means hook, thesis, topic sentence, supporting points, explanations, conclusions. If these words are unfamiliar, you have to stop and learn all of this before you go sit your IELTS exam, and definitely before college or university, because you will have some serious issues when you get to school. Okay. Lois, do I need to specifically state whether I agree or disagree? Yes, because it's asking you to what extent do you agree. So if I ask you how much do you agree, you would either say I completely agree or I totally disagree, right? So you should state that you completely agree or disagree. All right. So Anna says, I strongly disagree with this question statement. We don't need the word question. Statement because of personal choice and grades. It's a little bit too vague because admissions need to be based on personal choice and grades, and this does not necessarily allow for equal numbers of men and women in each major. So answer the entire question, Anna. Okay, make it very clear for your reader. All right. Ha says, although gender equality in each major seems to be inviting at first, I completely agree with this statement because university admissions should be based on personal demand and examinations. Okay, Ha, it's very nice. Just make sure that you have parallel grammar in your thesis points. Should be based on personal demand and exam performance. Okay, adjective, noun, personal demand, exam performance. Is that clear? Huh? Okay, for band 7, 8, 9, you need to have parallel grammar, everybody, in your thesis. Okay? All right. It's very important. Okay, and then it's very nice. Then, you actually have a little bit more than the thesis. You actually have a little bit of the background as well. So that first part of your thesis, although gender equality in each major seems to be inviting at first thought, it's really nice writing. And that's also actually a piece of your background. Okay. Fuang writes, I strongly disagree that enrollment in universities, Fuang word form, I strongly disagree that enrollment in universities should be based on gender, as it is better or beneficial for learners to receive acceptance based on their decisions and grades. Okay, good, Fuang. Just watch your word form, enrollment, and don't use the contraction it's. Okay, right? It is. Okay? All right. I'm seeing some nice thesis statements and we can now write the introductory paragraph starting with the hook. So we'll start putting this together now as per the IELTS. Okay, so task 2 in the IELTS usually will have the introductory paragraph, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2. Okay, so here the introduction, intro. Okay, hook plus background plus thesis. Okay, so the intro is university admissions. Okay, make it simple, make it good. Okay, so here we go. There, that's my hook. University admissions are a complicated matter. I'm sure many of you will agree. A great hook, everybody, is not only simple, but can create empathy. So a great hook will include the topic. Here it's university admissions, right? It's going to be simple. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. 6 words, that's great. 8 words or less for a hook is fantastic. It's also like I know a lot of people are like, but my teacher says I don't need a hook. You don't need one, but it's really good to have one for multiple reasons. It shows the reader that you have identified the topic clearly. It also, of course, makes the reader interested. And it's a simple sentence where you don't have mistakes. So you don't have complicated adjective clauses, independent, dependent clauses, conditions. You don't necessarily have the perfect tense going on. So you don't have this complicated grammar or words. And so you have a nice clean sentence to start your essay. And that looks really good for the examiner. They're like, oh, okay, that's a nice clean essay, or clean. It's a nice clean sentence with the topic, right? Welcome, Michael. Nice to have you in the group here. Okay. Okay, so university admissions are a complicated matter. Does everybody agree that university admissions are a complicated matter? Is it complex? Is it tricky? Is it a arduous process, meaning you have to fill out a lot of papers and take a lot of steps? Does everybody agree that university is a complicated university admission? So getting into a good university is a complicated process. It's another way that you could write it. Getting into a university is a complicated process, right? That would be another nice hook. Right? That could be another good hook. All right. So keep it simple. Right? Fuang says university acceptances have already been challenging for students through decades. Fuang, right idea, simplify it. University acceptance is a challenging process for students. Okay, so simplify it, Fuang. Okay, keep that first sentence as simple as possible grammatically. Okay. All right, so university admissions are a complicated matter. It is the process by which tertiary institutions filter the students into each major in aims of graduating a top-notch workforce and scientists. Okay, so this is my background. The background is the definition and the importance. Notice how I don't just simply paraphrase the question. Why don't I just simply paraphrase the question? Because my thesis has the paraphrase included in this case. Okay? So it is the process by which tertiary institutions filter the students into each major in aims of graduating a top-notch workforce and scientists. Okay? Now comes my thesis, and in the computer-based exam, you can absolutely just do what I'm doing right now. You can just cut and paste. But here I'm just going to copy and paste, okay? So I'm going to copy and paste. And this is my thesis. Okay, so everybody who's watching, what we do in these classes, of course, is we aim for the band 8. Band 9 scores. As you know, that's what we advertise on the websites. IELTS score band 7, 8, 9, study here. We're not concerned about scoring a band 6 or a band 6.5. The world is very competitive today, and you need to aim for those higher band scores. To get those higher band scores, you need to learn correct writing methodology, not little quick tips and tricks that some teachers might be showing you online on some channels, and especially not templates that IELTS examiners don't really like. So go to aehelp.com, click this button, and learn for those higher band scores, okay? And again, you can do that through Shopify as well, okay? All right. So here is my introductory paragraph. I'm going to read it. It's a good idea to read each of your paragraphs as you finish writing them. University admissions are a complicated matter. It is the process by which tertiary institutions filter the students into each major in aims of graduating a top-notch workforce and scientists. Okay? I completely disagree that forcing gender equality in each major is a good idea, because university admissions should be based on performance and choice. Okay, and here I have each major, and here I have each major. I don't like that redundancy, so I'm going to change it to every field. A major is a field, so, okay. All right, I'm also looking for your backgrounds and your thesis. Put it all together. I know you're kind of limited here in the chat. So again, students, don't forget, you can send your writing, your whole task 2 essay for a free assessment. Students who are not premium students on the website, they get maximum 5 free assessments. If you are a premium student on our website, you get unlimited band score assessments. And it's not AI, it's a real human expert who is going to give you a mark that's very, very similar, if not the same, as your IELTS score in the real test. So you can send those essays to these email addresses, okay? Adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. All right, either one of those. Okay. All right, so now that I have my introduction, I can write my body paragraph. Okay. Body paragraph 1, okay, will deal with topic 1. Topic 1 here is performance. That's coming from my thesis, right? And not gender numbers. Okay, so I don't forget about that controlling idea. That controlling idea is very, very important. Okay. And you'll see that in the topic sentence. So the topic sentence gives that deeper definition or that deeper explanation of performance. Okay. Each student or each applicant has a certain level of ability based on exams and school grades, which does not necessarily reflect equality in gender. Okay, so here, this is my topic sentence. Okay, the topic sentence defines the concept of performance in a little bit more detail. So each applicant has a certain level of ability based on exams and school grades. Okay. James, simpler. I wouldn't use something like "it is said that." Okay, don't use the "it is said that," it's awkward. James, if you wrote that in university, I guarantee your professor or the professor's assistant who's marking would cross out the "it is said that." Okay, because they would say, no. What do you say? What do you think? Be affirmative, right? So take out the "it is said that." Okay, Ha says, I think I would make choice first because choice dictates performance. Yeah, Ha, I think you could do that. I think here it's writer's choice. In my case, I'm going to go with performance first. But yeah, you could. I think you have a good argument there, Ha. There's logic to it. My concept is basically universities should filter based on the grades, and then also the applicants to each major is impacted by gender. So, but yeah, you can make that connection, huh? I think it's a valid argument. So you could do it that way. Okay, so now I'm going to explain this. Okay, all right. So each applicant has a certain level of ability based on exams and school grades, which does not necessarily reflect equality in gender. Okay, certain majors like medicine demand academic excellence, and grades in the 90% or more range. And it may be that more women have achieved this standard than men. So having the same number of males and females in this field would not be wise, as doctors must be competent in their profession regardless of gender. Okay. Indeed, many universities report a greater number of women in this study based on their better academic credentials. Okay, and that would be my example there. And this is true for the University of British Columbia, and this I actually know. Okay. So here is my example. Okay, now this is my first body paragraph. Can I make it better? Yes. If this were a university essay, I would spend more time on it. But again, I have about 32 minutes, so I have to move on to body paragraph 2, and it just has to be good enough for that band 9. Okay, so each applicant has a certain level of ability based on exams and school grades, which does not necessarily reflect equality in gender. Certain majors like medicine demand academic excellence and grades in the 90% or more range, and it may be that more women have achieved this standard than men. So having the same number of males and females in this field would not be wise, as doctors must be competent in their professions regardless of gender. Indeed, I know that many universities, like the University of British Columbia, report a greater number of women in this study based on their better academic credentials. Okay, and I included that I know. You're wondering, why did he just include that I know? And the reason why is because in the introduction, I said I completely disagree. So I'm using the first person voice in the introduction, so that first person voice should be reflected in each of the body paragraphs, even if it's just one I or me or in my opinion. Okay. The voice of the author has to be clear in the writing, and it must never switch. Okay, so it should never shift to third person or second person voice. Again, if you're not familiar with first, second, third person voice of the author and what that means in writing and literature, you need to learn it. You can again learn that in your premium course when you join. And you click that button. It's worth it. Same thing for the general IELTS students, by the way, at gieltshelp.com. Same idea. So click that big red button and learn these basic standards. You need to know it. If you don't learn it for the IELTS, you will have to learn it as soon as you start your job or you start school. So make sure that you do. Okay. All right, Asha says, it's critical to acknowledge that pupils have distinct interests and strengths, and it would be unjust to impose a particular gender ratio in some subjects. Asha, that is really nice writing for the introduction. Asha, don't use contractions in academic or professional essays, so you have to write, it is critical. It is critical. Okay. Now, Asha, you wouldn't want that in the body paragraph because you're confusing your reader about which point you're discussing, right? So interests and strengths would be for body paragraph 2. Strengths would be for body paragraph 1. Okay. Okay, and then Asha says, for instance, it may be more common for students to opt for social science stream, while other scholars may be more drawn to research fields like medicine or healthcare. Yeah, so Asha, there you would want to clarify the gender imbalance. Okay, so for instance, it may be more common for men to opt for a social science stream, while more women may be drawn to research fields like medicine or healthcare, right? And then you have that distinction. So Asha, what you're writing is actually my next paragraph, right? Furthermore, the passion of applicants must supersede gender balance in majors, as this is the greatest motivating factor to produce a prosperous working society and a rapidly advancing science. Okay, so now my explanation. Often men are more interested in fields like engineering, while women are more drawn to education. Indeed, allowing greater proportions of men and women into these domains has led to many happy graduates and great advancements in engineering and pedagogy. It's another way to say education. Okay. So here we're basically saying that interests also create imbalances, and that's totally okay because it's more important that we focus on the development of a prosperous society and on science, as we discussed earlier, right? So here I have my introduction, I have my body paragraph 1, my body paragraph 2. Now I'm ready for my conclusion. Okay, my conclusion should have 3 components. Okay, should have the points restated. Now, some people will tell you that the conclusion is just paraphrasing your introduction. It's not true, everybody. A good conclusion does not just simply paraphrase, and it's not me saying this. It's all of the English teachers in high school and in college saying this, okay? So when you see this on the internet and from other teachers who are teaching IELTS, it's because they didn't actually correctly learn English essay writing or essay writing. So just keep this in mind, everybody. The conclusion is not just a simple paraphrase of the introduction. Okay, so the conclusion is more than that. All right. The conclusion restates the points, so clarifies the points, and that's maybe the paraphrase. Okay, it strengthens the argument, and it provides a take-home message. Okay, so it gives a valuable message based on the content. And again, aim for those high band scores. Aim for band 7, 8, 9. Have these pieces. Okay? Anahita, you can. So Anahita says, I sometimes combine restating the points and strengthening the argument. And that's totally okay. Yeah, absolutely. Anahita, especially if you've hit that 250 word limit and you're running out of time, you should leave, again, 3 minutes for review. Then it's okay to combine those. Okay? So there, in conclusion, I completely disagree that gender should impact the university registration process, because I sincerely believe that performance and personal preference are much more important. So you can combine the two, Anahita. It's totally okay. All right. So in conclusion, I oppose the idea that having a gender balance should mandate a university admission into majors, as I truly believe that abilities or aptitude and passion are much more logical for admissions systems. Okay, so here the take-home message, what could it be? Students, I've got a couple of good ideas here for the take-home message, but I want you to inspire me. I want you to give me the take-home message. So based on the essay, and at home when you're practicing this, you should read the essay for your take-home message, okay? So I'm going to read it for you. Think about your take-home message. Let me know what it is, okay? Here's the essay so far. University admissions are a complicated matter. It is the process by which tertiary institutions filter students into each major in aims of graduating a top-notch workforce and scientists. I completely disagree that forcing gender equality in every field is a good idea, because university admissions should be based on performance and choice. Each applicant has a certain level of ability based on exams and school grades, which does not necessarily reflect equality in gender. Certain majors like medicine demand academic excellence and grades in the 90% or more range. And it may be that more women have achieved this standard than men, so having the same number of males and females in this field would not be wise, as doctors must be competent in their profession regardless of gender. Indeed, I know that many universities, like the University of British Columbia, report a greater number of men in this study based on their better academic credentials. Okay, and I'm just making small adjustments while I'm going along. Furthermore, the passion of applicants must supersede gender balance in majors, as this is the greatest motivating factor to produce a prosperous working society and rapidly advancing science. Often men are more interested in fields like engineering, while women are more drawn to education. Indeed, allowing greater proportions of men and women into these domains has led to many happy graduates and great advancements in engineering and pedagogy. In conclusion, I oppose the idea that having gender balance should mandate university admission into majors, as I truly believe that aptitude and preference are more logical for admissions systems. Okay, Anahita says, no man or woman should be deprived of pursuing higher education merely because of gender equality and admissions. Okay? Yeah, Anahita, that's good. No hard-working students with outstanding scholastic performance should be denied pursuit of higher education because of gender equality for or in admissions. Yeah, exactly. That's a good take-home message, I think. Okay, Ha says, in conclusion, I disprove the idea that higher education should maintain identical ratio of male and females, as grades and personal interests need to be taken into consideration when universities enroll students. Okay, Ha, good. Couple of corrections there in real time. Okay, great, nice. And this is a good take-home message. Okay, there could be some other good take-home messages. Anybody else put some up there? Okay, I might write something like, ultimately, the goal of university admissions must be objective and rational. Which is performance based results. Okay, so ultimately university admissions must be objective and rational, which is performance-based results. Okay, so I'm basically telling the reader with this take-home message, if I have this take-home message, that university is performance-based. It has nothing to do with your gender, has nothing to do with the shoes that you wear, has nothing or should have nothing to do with that anyway, right? If it does, then it's probably not working as well as it should. So it should be performance-based results, right? Okay, students, I hope that makes sense. There were a couple of very important points here. Notice how here I have I, here I have I. I didn't see anybody say, hey, Adrian, you didn't use I in your second body paragraph, and that would be a mistake. I used I in the conclusion, so it is first person voice. Here, I should have used I as well. Indeed, allowing greater proportions of men and women into these domains in Canada, I have seen as leading to many happy graduates and great advancements in engineering and pedagogy. So here, and it actually makes it better. Okay, it makes the support better. So, and it's true, Canada does have quite a good system of academic performance and choice for universities. So indeed, allowing greater proportions of men and women into these domains in Canada, I have seen as leading to many happy graduates and greater advancements in engineering and pedagogy. Okay. All right, students, I'll post this essay on our YouTube community board. Okay. And again, in 30 minutes, we have a listening exam practice with tips and strategies coming up. That listening exam can be found in your general IELTS course at gieltshelp.com. When you have access to the premium package, this listening exam is not available in the free version. In the upcoming class, I will play the audio, so don't worry. In the academic, aehelp.com, again, click that big red button to join to get all of these materials, tips, and strategies. Okay, we did have the first IELTS video on YouTube, so we have been passionate, I have been passionate about teaching you the correct steps and strategies. You're very welcome, Anahita. I hope that makes more sense now. Again, everybody keep in mind that it's very, very important to correctly identify the topic of task 2 before you start writing, okay? Premium students on the website, I am sending the Zoom links later today in the next 4 or 5 hours, so you should see them in your emails by tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating. Thank you, members, for your support. Michael, again, welcome to our group of members. I saw you join in this class. That's awesome. Keep up the good work, everybody, and I will see you in 30 minutes for IELTS listening section parts 1 and part 2. Bye for now.